Hey everyone, my name is Dave. Welcome to the shop here at NTD Racing. If you have been a subscriber here for a while, you see me build a lot of stuff in this shop, and we just went over 8,000 subscribers, and I think that's awesome. I appreciate everybody who has hit the like, subscribe, and all that stuff. It's really been helping us out. Some news, I haven't been making a video for a little while. We've got a lot of stuff going on, family stuff, and we are picking up shop here, selling our house, and we're moving to Colorado. So what today's episode is all about is I gotta figure out how to get all this stuff onto a trailer and out to Colorado. It's probably gonna take a couple trips, but what I'm gonna work on today is what a lot of people might be interested in is how do you move a CrossFire XR? I have got no idea, but I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna go ahead and get to work on it, see if I can take some of the electronics off, get it onto my trailer, and figure out how we're gonna move this thing across the country to Colorado. Here we go.
All right, so there are really two things that I had to do with this table. First, I just had to kind of lift it up because I wanted to put on some rollers and roll it out of my shop. And then two is I had to lift it high enough to get it onto my trailer. So first, just lifting it. I was going to use the cherry picker, which would work to get it lifted, but it was kind of tough to get it rolled in there. And what I found is that the table, once you have the water out and the metal off the top and all those kinds of things, just the bare table, it isn't really that heavy. And I'm a 50-year-old dude with a bad back, and I could lift it high enough to where my wife could just kind of scoot a Harbor Freight dolly underneath it. And then from there, I was able to roll the thing right out of my shop pretty easily with a dolly on the front and on the back. So you need two of those. And then once I get it into my garage and under the lift, now I'm just using some 2-inch straps on the front and the back again, and I'm lifting it high enough to get it on the trailer. And it was easy as that from there. And I'm able to strap the thing down, and I'm ready to hit the road.
All right, here it is. Maybe just a little bit bittersweet. You know, we've lived in this house right here for about 3 years now, but time to move on. It's just a house. Anyway, this is how I got everything strapped up. Here's Lefty, bare metal. I'll have to be wiping this thing down. We might hit some rain along the way, and I'll just deal with that. We'll wipe it down, won't rust too bad. And then here is the plasma table wrapped up like a gordita. We have a 16 by 12 foot tarp that's on there, a couple tires helping hold those things down. I'll probably put another strap over here on there to hold that stuff down, but basically that's what we did. So I lifted the back a little bit over here, and you can kind of see that, and I put all my plates still underneath there so we could bring that along. Got an axle strapped onto the back just to kind of even out the weight a little bit with the engine. But there you go, it's wrapped up. I got a feeling this tarp will be toast by the time we get there, but I was really just trying to make sure that I kept the rain directly off of the electronic parts. I mean, these things get a little bit wet just in the nature of the fact they're plasma tables, but I really didn't want them to get soaked with water with any kind of rainstorms that we might hit. We're going to try and cannonball it all the way to Colorado with this thing. Let's go ahead and get on the road.
All right, and we're on the road, and I didn't take any video on the road, so I'm just going to kind of talk a little bit. I think it's worth mentioning, you know, giving a little bit of explanation for why we're taking our family to Monument. I think that the bottom line is that it is just a better fit for us. We spent our entire summer starting down here in the Rockies, up into Utah, and then all the way up into Montana, and just had an amazing time. And I think it's just a really good fit for us. And then at the end of that, we kind of had to do the penalty, which you do every time you come back to San Diego, is if you come down the south route down 8 or something like that, and you hit Phoenix, it's 118 degrees the whole way through this desert. And this is where we test over here, and I love going out there, but it's a hot desert, and you kind of pay a penalty. You know, or you come down through Vegas or something like that, and then you got to go through LA, and LA is just miserable to drive through. And you know, we're just like, well, let's just make our home base where we like to spend a lot of our time out here in Colorado and go skiing and those kinds of things. So, you know, that's why we're doing that. We also have a lot of family there. I grew up in Albuquerque. My parents still live there. And I just love the area. So I think it's just the best fit for us. And oh, by the way, I just got done putting gas in my truck in California, and it costs $138 to put 20 gallons in. And as I'm talking to you now, I'm at work. I'm sitting in Fort Worth, Texas, and the gas prices outside are $2.85 a gallon. So, you know, it's little things, but the little things start to add up and become big things after a while. And so it's just time to change a little bit. So anyway, we hit the road. We drive through the miserable LA traffic, on through Vegas, and then just as you kind of get up towards Utah, if you haven't driven, you know, maybe this stretch of road here, I think it's 15, turns into 70. It's just an amazing drive. Utah is such an amazing state, and all the way into Colorado. And finally, as we kind of hit Colorado, approaching Vail, we start hitting the rain, and we're in rain for a little while. But as it turns out, the table was fine. Nothing got wet. My little Gordita plan worked out, and none of the electronics got wet. So I think it's going to be fine. And then we get it all the way over to Monument, and we're putting everything into our storage unit. I'll talk a little bit about how I unloaded the truck. All right. Well, moving is never easy, and here we go. Here's Lefty on a rack with all the tubes. I got Lefty's engine cradle and all that over here. And then here is the plasma table. All of it got here pretty good. There's a couple bolts that actually rattled themselves loose, and I'll put those back on. They kind of came out over here. I got to find the button head, but that's pretty small beans there for all that kind of stuff. But all that being said, we were able to get all of this stuff, about 1,000 pounds of steel, Lefty in a cradle, and also the CrossFire XR off of my trailer using my wife and I and a cherry picker, and we got all this stuff off there, and it worked out pretty good. All right, so somebody's going to want to move their XR, and this is exactly how I did it, and I think it was pretty easy. And these things that you have to buy, that I have for it, just aren't that expensive, and you can use them all over your shop. I get everything. I get a lot of stuff from Harbor Freight. In fact, I have the things I'm going to show you, which are this lift dolly or the table cart or whatever it is. It's a 500-pound one. You can get a 1,000-pound one also, which I would probably recommend. I find that I run out of lifting capacity with this thing, but not while I was doing this lift. The cherry picker from Harbor Freight I find is totally adequate. That price seems a little bit higher than maybe I paid for it. They're raising the prices. Everybody is. And then also I have a couple of these wooden dollies, and these are the wooden dollies I use to move the table around my shop. So starting with the table, now I have my trailer underneath of it. And you got to just imagine where my trailer is. In the picture here, my truck and the hitch would be on the left side, and then this thing's sitting on the back. I've obviously removed all the electronics off of my my table before I remove it, and before I moved it and everything. That's actually inside my truck protected. So the first thing I did is I roll my cherry picker over to one side, and I strap it down at the corners, just trying to make sure that I don't hit any electronics. I don't put too much. Whenever I strap these things in here, anytime I'm trying not to put any pressure on those guide rails on the side, on the Y axis where it goes forward and back there. All times, no matter when I'm moving it, I try not to put any pressure on those. And now the cherry picker can kind of sit underneath my open trailer. And I will say that I think it's probably easier to move these things with an open trailer as opposed to a closed trailer, just because you can't get those things in unless you got like 4 or 5 guys to lift it. And I think it'd be pretty easy to do. But if it's just you and maybe your wife or your kid or something like that, then this is how you would do that. So, and then the other side, I put a dolly. So now the dolly is sitting on the trailer, and then the cherry picker is underneath the trailer. And then as I'm kind of holding the cherry picker, I have my wife actually drive the truck and trailer forward just far enough to where the feet over here are actually hanging right on the back side of the trailer, just right there on the edge of the back side of the trailer. And then she stops. If she goes too far, that's fine. The cherry picker will hold it and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, from there, I readjust everything, and then now I bring the cart over. And these carts are really cool. If you kind of notice, it has kind of an overhang here where it's, as it lifts. So I take the handles off. It's got 2 bolts. You can take the handle off. Realize the whole thing that releases the hydraulic is connected to the handle, so it doesn't go that far. There's a little cable there. You got to figure out what you're going to do with that. But I put the overhang, and I slide the overhang over the top of the trailer and underneath the cross member of the XR. And then the other side, I bring the cherry picker in, I slide it underneath the trailer, and again, I strap it now to the other side, and I lift the whole thing. So this is able to lift one side, cherry picker obviously lifts the other side. Now the thing is hanging above the ground, and then I just have my wife drive my trailer straight out, and then now it's hanging in the air. And then what we do is I put her on the cherry picker, put me on this little lift right here, and we lowered it all the way down together. And that's why it's sitting right now inside the storage unit, as you saw. And it was really easy to do, and I think you can do it. You could probably even do it like a single person. You just go back and forth, lowering it a little bit by bit, just to make sure the table kind of stays level, because you don't want to kind of torque this thing too much, because it is a CNC machine. So that's how you do it. So some other things to clean up. Sold the Tesla, got it on Facebook Marketplace. It was gone in about 1 hour. And then get Mr. Spreckles ready to go. There's some abandoned railroad tracks in Colorado. Can't wait to start exploring those also. You can check out the video on Mr. Spreckles, I don't know, about a year ago when we made that thing. Besides that, it's just time to get the rest of the shop packed up and ready to hit the road.
I'm really happy with the way the move went. I think that the CrossFire XR move was easy to do. I think I probably could have done almost all of it by myself. My wife helped me a little bit with stabilizing the table as I lowered it off the trailer. But besides that, it looks like it all showed up well, and I will get that thing back together as soon as I can and let you know how well it survived the move through rain and all those kinds of things, and I think it did just fine. Anyway, the future for NTD Racing, we got this big move going on. We're going to a new shop. We still have no idea where that's going to be. The one stipulation I gave my wife before we moved out of here was that wherever we go, I at least double the size of my garage. So I will show you what it is like as we go into the new shop and some of the considerations I have, because I think I might be building one. So that should be pretty cool. And I'll show you everything I do and all the stuff I use to build a new shop and all the things I'm thinking about. Besides that, as far as racing goes, I am 100% committed to racing and my team and all those kinds of things. We got HONCHO. I'll be getting that ready for the California 300, which will be in October 14th, and then also the Baja 1000. So we got 2 races coming up for this truck pretty soon on top of all the moving stuff that we have going on. And then another piece of news, it's my 50th birthday, and you're probably wondering, well, what should we get Dave for his 50th birthday? How about a like and subscribe? And that would be really awesome. I do appreciate it, and I always get some great comments from some people, and I do appreciate those also. It motivates me, and it motivates me for the future, continuing this channel and hopefully putting out content that some folks out there enjoy. But with that, I got to get to work on HONCHO, swapping out some shocks and getting her ready for the next race and then moving out of this place. So please consider hitting like and subscribe, ringing the bell for notification of future episodes, and we will see you next week. Take care of yourself.